I don't know about you, but sometimes I find it beneficial to step outside of my comfort zone and try something I'm absolutely unfamiliar with. Like today's LGR Edutainment Month entry, The American Girls Premiere, developed and published by the Learning Company in 1997 for Mac and Windows PCs. While I'm plenty familiar with the Learning Company, I had no idea what the American Girls property was about until I started making this video. And it turns out that, in the US at least, they're a pretty beloved franchise of 18-inch dolls introduced in 1986 by the Pleasant Company. Their appeal seems to be that each American Girl has a unique and detailed backstory based in a specific time period, often accompanied by playsets, books, and movies that show their own specific point of view somewhere in American history. So, what is American Girls Premiere then? Well, according to the packaging, it lets you create and produce your own plays. I mean, that doesn't exactly seem related to anything I've read about the American Girls series, but sure, why not? Although looking at the feature list and screenshots, it bears a striking similarity to another title I have from Mech called Opening Night. But surely the Learning Company wouldn't go for a straight ripoff with the reputation of the American Girls on the line, would they? And besides, look at all the effort they put into this collector's keepsake tin. Inside you get the program on 2 compact discs, a substantial instruction manual, registration cards, a sample play script titled Actions Speak Louder Than Words, and it doesn't stop there. Underneath here you get a starter's kit for the American Girls Club, with yet another beefy handbook complete with a gift-wrapped membership card, and the premiere issue of American Girls News. And none of this stuff means anything to me whatsoever, but dang it if I don't appreciate when a piece of software goes all out with a bunch of extra goodies like this. Apparently it even came with a baseball cap originally, but all I got was this plastic bag. It does not function as an effective cap. The American Girls Premiere begins by premiering the girly American cast members, Kirsten, Felicity, Addie, Molly, and Samantha. While I have zero connection to any of these myself, I can imagine for a fan of them back then it must have been pretty exciting to see previously non-interactive characters that you know and love come alive on screen like this. But just like that, it unceremoniously drops you onto a menu with no introduction or explanation of any kind. A little odd for a kid's edutainment title. Sure, you got the manual to explain things, but it's pretty dense and it's not the most enjoyable thing to go through. Turns out there's a separate program on the first disc that provides the tutorial in video form, with a gal who's rather intense in her explanations.
Did you know that props are the objects used during a play? Props help to dress the stage set. Just like these flowers.
It's useful stuff, so why they didn't include some reference to this on the first screen of the main program is anyone's guess. And speaking of confusion, a cursory glance at this tutorial sequence has confirmed my suspicions from earlier. American Girls Premiere isn't just similar to Mech's Opening Night, it's the exact same freaking thing. Just who did they think they were trying to fool with this? Well, no one, it turns out. Let's talk about SoftKey for a moment. SoftKey was a huge software company in the 90s, infamous for publishing a ton of shovelware crap. Under the leadership of one Kevin O'Leary, this monstrosity of a company snatched up just about every major piece of your edutainment childhood, from Broderbund to Creative Wonders to Mech to TLC. By 1995, both Mech and TLC were finally living under the same corporate roof, and in a bid to maximize profits while minimizing overhead, they started mashing up old code with new IPs. One such product was American Girls Premiere, whipped up in 1997 by TLC from the still warm corpse of Mech's Opening Night program from 1995. It was the same engine with a few improvements and a new coat of paint, but that's about it. However, this coat of paint was not to be underestimated due to both the strong American Girls brand and the fact that it was a computer program aimed at a younger female audience. In '97, this was still a rather underappreciated market, and Premiere quickly achieved the highest monthly dollar and unit sales of any single product in the history of the Learning Company to date. By July of 1998, news outlets were reporting that 20.3% of the entire girl games market was claimed by American Girls Premiere alone. So while it may have had the skeleton of a 2-year-old program, this was an incredibly successful product for the time, second only to Mattel's Barbie games. No wonder Mattel snagged the American Girls brand just a year later, because why settle for having most of the money when you can have all the money? Anyway, back to the program itself, which is a box of interactive digital doodads with no clear objectives, and the idea is to take the role of director, scriptwriter, set dresser, and so on to create your own stage production. Like this.
Sometimes I have a sudden urge to fart on this chair.
And did I mention this makes amazing use of a wonky text-to-speech system? Because it does, and it's glorious.
What the dick?
I am trumpeted.
Come any closer, I will throw a pinball at you, and walk away slowly.
Never underestimate the power of immaturity and easily exploitable systems. But no, seriously, American Girls Premiere is also a fascinating industry case study in relation to both the rise of video games aimed at girls and how an underperforming product was repackaged to make a fortune with improved marketing. It just also happens to be one of the most inappropriately amusing dick joke simulators around.
It turns out that I lack a human penis. Ta.
Alright, enough of that. So here's how it works. You start by choosing a time period and start with a blank scene. And from here you can drop in hundreds of pre-made backgrounds, objects, characters, lighting setups, sound effects, and music. Each character is an actor filmed in front of a blue screen and then digitized and plopped into the game Mortal Kombat style. There are a ton of animations, actions, and costumes for each character, and most are filmed at 8 different angles, so there's a ton of footage to choose from here. And of course, inputting dialogue is as simple as typing it in, with the option to leave it silent, record your own with a microphone, or use one of 3 customizable text-to-speech voices.
All the world is a stage. All the world is a stage.
All the world is a stage.
I don't know what algorithm or synthesis method they were using here, but it is delightfully odd and unsettling. I kinda love it. Yet even without any weird dialogue at all, American Girls Premiere is a pretty neat little program. It lets players get creative in a very open-ended way, and I imagine it's a treat for fans of the franchise, making it much more appealing to a certain audience than the somewhat generic opening night that it was based on. At the same time, I do question its educational properties somewhat. I guess you could argue that it teaches history to a degree since each girl is based in a particular time period, but seeing as their stories are completely player customizable, that disappears in no time. At best, I would say that this introduces a young audience to the concepts of theater, directing, scripting, and how a stage production comes together. Maybe not so much the theory behind it, but rather the broad terms and creative processes involved. American Girls Premiere encourages brainstorming, planning, experimentation, and execution in a way that I would have really enjoyed when I was a kid. And you know, I still do, even now.
Fresh oats. Fresh oats.
And if you enjoyed this episode of LGR, why not check out some of my others or stick around for new episodes every Monday and Friday. Thank you for watching.